What's up, good people? How are you doing? Welcome to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for coming. If it's your second time or third time, or you're always a member of this channel, just know that I really do appreciate you. So good people, this is the first time I'm doing story time in 2024, and I don't know if I did a lot of story time last year, I'm not sure, but yeah. So story time on my channel is when I get to share with you some of the things that have been happening to me, like in terms of my experience in the past, maybe relationship things, maybe work things, anything, but I get to share with you real stories that just happened. It's just that it didn't happen today, but maybe a couple of years ago, a couple of months ago. Yeah. On today's story time, I'm gonna share with you how I got my last job after being jobless for about 8 months. Yup, that's the story, and I hope it will be able to inspire someone, or maybe you just learn something from it. For those who've been watching my videos ever since I started this channel, of course, you know, I started this channel when I was leaving employment. That was back in 2019 there. So when I was resigning from one employer and I was going to start my own business, which I did. That was back in 2019 January, and of course I had the Urge Limited, which was of course doing quite a number of things. Yeah, and I did that until 2021 December. And the reason why that happened is because in 2022 I was in fact it started from December. There's someone who reached out to me and was like, we need you to come and work in our communications team. So I was like, okay. So I was still thinking about it. Then now in January I was like, let me just go and do it. So yeah, so I had to put my company on hold, and then I went to do whatever I was doing. So yeah, so I know some of you already know what I was doing in 2022, for those who've been following this channel, or maybe some of my close friends do know. Of course they know. And yeah, so after almost towards the end of the year, that 2022, that particular project came to an end. It was like a very short project, like it was about 8 months or so. So it came to an end. So after that, I'd already joined school. I was back in school, and of course my focus was not only on just work all the time, but of course in the evening classes I used to have my classes, which I still do. And yeah, so my focus was, after the job, that contract ended, my focus was now in school and also trying to get job. But because it was so intense that year, I was like, let me at least rest for the month of, you know, the few months that was left in that year, like 2022 until December. Then I'll start afresh in January. So if I do that, then I'll say that I was jobless for like 5 months, but no, I was not receiving salary for 8 months. Like there was no cash coming in at the end of the month. You know, the way when you're employed, you always expect your salary to come here. So there was no that salary at that particular time. I'm sure you might be asking, how was I surviving? That will be another story for another day. But today, the main focus is how I got my last job after 8 months of being jobless. So yeah, so of course January came. There was just so much struggles, nini hapa na pale. And February, oh my god, you know, January everyone is going back to work. I think towards the end of the year I didn't feel that I was jobless that much, but because everyone is now getting into the holiday season, and yeah, like people are just, you know, like it's not as intense as it usually gets when you're jobless in January, when people are now back to their things, people are focusing on other things, you know. Yeah, so January came, of course, thank God. I think I might just give you some more details. So thank God, because during that particular job, I ended up paying for my gym until I think the month of April next year. Like I usually like paying my bills in advance, even like for my house rent, but that one again, I think it's just a huge story which I can get to on another day, on how I survived that particular period. I think I will, in fact, will be the next story on this channel. But for now, to learn what I was trying to focus on. So yeah, so January, guys, were getting back to work. Kama kawaida, I was going to the gym, and yeah, at the gym, when you're done in the morning, I used to go in the morning, so when you're done in the morning, and yes, everyone leave, some of them go to work, and then around me there are also some jobless people like me who are also trying to find jobs, you know. So my work was applying for work. Like that was my work, was looking for work. And in my life, I don't think I was ever at any point in my life, I can't remember being that jobless, you understand, like trying to find job and staying out for a longer period of time. Like that was the first time. And I don't know if I should say I'm lucky, or I should just say that I usually just try and go and get whatever I can get and get, like do it and move, you know. So I don't know if I should call myself lucky, but I don't think I would call myself lucky. And you'll understand by the end of this video why I've just said that. So yeah, so I would come home, apply for jobs. Kama kawaida, you'll go to job mag, you'll go to this, you'll go to that. And then the people around me, there's only one person who we've done the same thing, who's also in communications, but the rest are not in communications. So of course, I used to look for jobs for communications. I could send some to all these people around me, like we could apply. Like sometimes I could just go to my friend's house, and then our work is just to apply for jobs. And trust me guys, I used to apply. You know those advertisements left, right and center, Brighter Monday, also do this Flexi, also do this, I mean like all these places where they advertise for jobs, you know, like damn, this trip was just, I was doing that. And I did that until I think around May, yes. And most of the time when you apply for these jobs, you're hoping for the best. Like you keep hoping that they're gonna get back to you. You're hoping that, you know, you'll be called for an interview. And I remember, let me take you back a little bit, that 22 November, there's a job that, there's an organization that I've always wanted to work with since 2016. And I remember they usually have a test that is very, very tough. And for that particular year, that November, I remember I left my last time, like it was, I think it was around September. Yeah, that was the last time I received my salary. So of course, October, November, December, I was jobless. So plus the other 5, yeah, so that's 8, yeah. So that November, I'd applied for this particular position, another particular position in that organization that I was dreaming of working for, rather working with. And finally, I did that test and passed the test. Like that test is usually a killer. In that particular time, I passed that particular test. And I was so happy. I even shared with my friend who happens to work there. I was so happy that finally I passed the test. You know, so the rest are going to be easy peasy, like as in I was just going to, you know, just, is it swimming through or slaying through the rest? Because the rest are just 4-on-1. I mean, no, not 4-on-1, but 1-on-1. Jesus, 1-on-1, where they could just ask me questions, and of course I tend to just answer questions when I'm asked, and I'll present myself. If you tell me present myself, I will present myself to you and tell you what I can do, which most of the time I happen to pass those other ones. But that particular one I used to fail before, so that was the first time I passed it. And guess what happened, good people? The only time that I passed that test, I think a few weeks later, they sent an email and said that the recruitment process has been put on hold or something like that. Like they decided to put that thing on hold, so until further notice. Imagine the only time that I passed that test. So I think it was so sad, but I also learned that it wasn't just meant to be mine. Like as in maybe God just didn't want me to work in that particular organization. You know, like it just happened like that. They've never gotten back up to date. And yeah, like there's also another time back in 2016 when I'd applied for the same position, in the same organization, and everyone else got their feedback, but I didn't get mine. Even those who got regret did get their regrets, but I did not get mine, whether I did not pass or not. For some reason, that is what happened in that organization. So guys, as I was saying, like I applied for jobs. That was my job every single day until I felt like I had a degree. So now something funny happened. Like I remember there's an interview that I was called for in another county, and it was very far, but it was in governor's office, in one of the governor's office. And I was going there as a communications officer, or rather I was going to go for that interview as a communications officer. And when I got there, the interview went well, but wow, the distance was just too long. And I remember when I was coming back, I was just like, God, please, I don't think, okay, I'd love to get this job, yes, but I don't think it's gonna be the best job for me in terms of the distance is way a lot, and going there every day, and then also just having my evening classes. Like I was just trying to tell God that yes, I know I've been looking for a job, but I want a job that will allow me to attend my classes like sometimes it's just good to be specific when it comes to your prayers with God. Just be specific and tell God this is the kind of job that you want. And yeah, so anyway, that job did not happen. Like, of course, that particular organization, it takes longer before even they get back to you. So I was just like, I'm just praying that I get something before they even get back to me. So I came back home. I said, you know what, I've been applying for jobs. Now I need to re-strategize. Like, I need to figure out what exactly I need to do in order to get a job. Because, of course, the savings were dying each and every day. And yeah, and of course, bills are coming in each and every, as the day goes by, new bills are going to come in. And I'm like, you know what, like, I just need to survive this season. I need to go through this season and finish it. And yeah, so it wasn't like that easy at that particular time, but I can't say that I lacked, which I said I will come and share with you guys a story time on how I survived those months of being jobless and some of the things that I did before that worked for me at that particular time. Yeah, I will come and share with you guys that in my next story time. But yeah, so I came back home, strategized, said, you know what, things are going to go different if I want to find a job. So at that time I started praying and telling God that, please, what is it that I already have that I can use in order to generate money, in order to live, you know, because when God bring all of us in this world, we always have a purpose. And I was just trying to ask God, please show me, because it seems me praying for job is not going to happen. Me praying for you to give me job, like in terms of going for interviews, that way, it's not going to happen. So who is it that I know? Who is it that I already, what is it that I already have here that I can use to keep generating income and, you know, like just be able to survive in this city? And I did that prayer for a while. So my prayer wasn't about, please give me a job. It was like, show me, God, show me. So, and one thing I'm going to tell you is that prayers do. Most of the time God answers our prayers, like one way or the other, he answers our prayers. And it's just you to see where the answer is, you get. So this particular time, I remember, of course, I kept on applying for jobs with my other friends. As much as I was praying for God to show me, I kept on applying for jobs. I did not stop. And I remember this week, almost towards the end of April, where I used to work in 2022, someone reached out and told me that their boss wants me to join them. Like, there's something they're working on. They started working on something. Like, they came together and started that particular organization, and they wanted me to join the organization and still contribute when it comes to communications. And they wanted me to, you know, think about it and then tell them my terms, if I want to go as a consultant or if I want to go as a full-time employee. And I told them, you know what, I'm gonna get back to you. Like, just give me time, I'll think about it and get back to you. But deep down, I knew I didn't want to go back into that particular industry. Like, I just didn't want to go back. And I was just praying and telling God, please, don't make me become so desperate to an extent that I will just settle for anything that comes my way. And I'm not saying this because at TCG those people they are really, really bad that I could not work with them. But it's because it's an industry that I just didn't want to go back into, you know. Then I think a few days later, someone reached out to me. And if there's one thing I would say before even getting to this person who reached out to me, is that whenever you find a chance to work in an organization, try and connect with the right people. And I'm saying right people is try to connect with the decision makers. I'm not saying that now even your peers, now you stop talking to them. No, build those relationships, like create those relationships, but make sure that you know the right people who are decision makers, people who can also help you in future, like when you're trying to find a job, like the way I was trying to find a job. And yeah, like those people. So just make sure your relationship with them is good. It's very good, because you never know where this world will take you, what will happen tomorrow. Yeah, so that particular time, after receiving that particular call, they wanted me to go and work for them, and then now someone called me. It's also someone that I remember when I was trying to find, like looking for jobs, I used to apply for jobs and then call them and ask them, do you know someone in this industry? Do you know someone from this organization? Do you know someone? You know, I used to just call them and just, you know. So that particular time when they called me, let me call this person X. So when X called me and told me that, asked me that, Christine, did you find something? And then I'm like, no, I haven't found, like I didn't get anything. And I just said that, no, I'm still looking for a job. I've just been going for interviews, and yeah, I'm just still applying. And then he said that, of course now you know it's a he. And then he said, so I have this, a kiosk of mine a kiosk organization of mine, and I think we'll really use your services. Like, we'll really appreciate your services. Just what you used to do back in 2022 when you were working together. Yeah, he was part of the team that I was working with in 2022. So yeah, so you were one of those people. It was such a huge organization, so there were many people that you could meet. So I was like, oh, so the things the things you used to do in 2022, I would love you to come and do them in my organization. So I was like, oh, okay, sure. He said that there's someone from my team who will call you who's in that particular department, and I'll just tell them, I'll give them your number and I'll tell them to reach out. So I was like, cool. So you remember when I was praying and telling God that who is it that I know, that what is it that I have that I need to do? And yeah, so that particular time, that prayer kept on going that way. Like, I was just praying and telling God who, you know. So this person didn't call me the first week of May. They did not call me. In fact, they did not call me. Yeah. At this particular time, I was just praying and telling God that I need to find a job. Like, I can't be here being jobless. Like, how am I going not to have a job? Like, how? Because, you know, all my life I've been this person who's always doing 1, 2, 3 things. Like, I was not just that idling thing of just sitting around. I did not have that luxury. And the fact that I pay my bills and I do all these things, I did not even have that. I don't have that someone to ask for money. So it has to be me. Like, there's no one. If I don't do it, no one will do it. If I don't pay this house rent, no one is gonna pay for it. If I don't pay my fees, no one is gonna pay for it. So I need to get a job. That was just my prayer. God, make it happen. There's no way I can fail. There's no way I am failing. I am a child. I'm not gonna fail. So yeah. So towards the end of May, I remember I went to the gym, and then that day I told one of my friends that, you know what, tomorrow I'm gonna look for a job. I'm going to take myself to this organization that was mentioned, because I remember when X called me, he just told me the name of the organization. He didn't tell me where it was located, or rather, you know. So that week, I remember the last week of May, I just went online and googled the name of the place, like the name of the organization, where they are located, and they are of course working hours. And I told one of my friends we used to go to the same gym with, or rather we still do. I just told her that, you know what, next week, this particular day, I'm going to this organization. I'm going to get a job. You get? Because I already knew there are things that they were lacking that they needed from me. I went through their website. I went to all their of course social media platforms, like handles. I went through everything. Like, I did my research, and I knew these people need me in that team. So that Tuesday, I remember it was a Tuesday. That Tuesday, I left after the gym, dressed up, and I was like, you know what, we are going to get the job. I'm going to get this job. So I went to where they are, and then it was almost lunch hour, like I think around midday. And when I got in, I found a receptionist, and of course, after exchanging hi, I'd ask, is X in? And she told me that X just stepped out. And I was like, oh, like how long ago? And then she told me like 5 minutes ago, just before you got in. And then I asked if Y is in. Now Y is the one who was supposed to call me. I'd done my research, I knew his name, and yeah, I knew his working hours. Of course, they work from 8 to 5, so I knew at that particular time he would have been in the office. So I asked, is Y in? And then the receptionist was like, yeah, he is in. So she went ahead and called him and was like, hey, so you have a guest. And then Y was like, me? Guest? You know, because he's one of those people who doesn't just receive guests like that. And the lady went ahead and said, Christine GER is here to see you. And then when he had Christine GER, already he knew he was supposed to call me, you know. So he was like, okay, let Christine GER come in. So when I went in, the first thing was like, yo, you, like, what happened? You were supposed to call me. Now I've brought myself. Please just interview me. I am here. Interview me and give me the job. So maybe the way I'm telling you is what I said, just the way I've just told you, like, hey, I am here and my name is Christine GER. Nice to meet you. You were supposed to call me. You did not call me. Now I am here. Kindly interview me. And I remember when before going in, because X was not in and stepped out like 5 minutes ago. That's the person who had reached out. That's the person that I know. And I tried calling him, but his phone was busy. So I remember when I was walking in, just after saying hi, hello to this particular Y guy, and just before I continued talking, after sitting down, a call came in. It was from who? From X. X was like, yo, I told you to call Christine Gebb. Did you call Christine Gebb? Blah, 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 you know. And then the guy was like, okay, sure. Yes, I'm doing, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then by that time, I was seated there. You know, I was ready for that interview. I was ready to munipatie kazi. You know, like, mimi nimechoka kukaa nyumbani, ninataka kazi. So, so I remember after the call ended, X called me and was like, oh, I just talked to, I know you're trying to call me to find out about blah, blah, blah. I'm like, don't worry, X. I'm already in your office and I'm seated right next to Y, and my interview is just about to begin. I remember how our conversation ended that day. Like, it took like about an hour. And Y asked me how much money would I like to be paid. Of course, I said the figure that I wanted to be paid, to receive. And then he said that that decision he could not make alone, so he had to wait for X to come back so they could do that discussion of X and Y. You understand? And yeah, so I remember also during my conversation with Y, I'd mentioned that I usually prefer using a MacBook, and if they do not have a MacBook, I will definitely come with mine until they purchase one for me. So I offered to go with my machine. Like, guys, I was super ready for this job. Like, I was like, you know what, I can't stay in the house anymore. I have to get out there. It doesn't matter how I'm gonna get out there, but I'm gonna get out there anyway. So yeah, so that was the last week of May, you know. So it's almost mid-year, and I'm like, I just need to have a job. Like, I've sorted out my bills, nini, but now the next month I need to have something coming in because I can't live like this anymore. So I left, and then of course Y told me that by Friday he'll get back to me before Friday. So of course when Friday came, there was no feedback on that particular Friday. I called and then asked Y, hey, it's Christine, just calling to follow up on the last discussion we had. As I said, it's Christine and I'm calling to follow up on the last chat that we had. Like, like, what's up? Did you talk to X? And then he said yes, he had a discussion with X, and X said that he was gonna call me. So that Friday, X didn't call me. So he called me on Saturday and said, Christine, this is what we can give you for now. And then after 3 months of probation, we'll be able to give you blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, you know, I've been home, no salary coming in. Why not? I mean, so I took the job. So Monday, I went to the gym, and then boom, went to work with my laptop. I was ready. I had a desk, everything was prepared, my contract was ready, I signed, nini. Yani, that's how I got the job, just like that. You get, people? So sometimes you don't have to wait for someone to come to you. If you've spotted something, like, you know, you want to work for AMREF, you know, you want to work for Red Cross, maybe you want to work for UN. I don't know if UN, you can try that, but yeah. But if you want to work for whichever organization you want to work for, just make sure you do a research and don't stop. Keep going. It might work for you, it might not, but just try. Don't do the same thing thinking that things are gonna change. No, and no one is coming to save you after 18, that someone is coming to save you and save you of your problems. No, you're responsible for your own life after eternity. That's what I usually say. Maybe it's harsh, but it's the truth. Whatever decisions you make, you're responsible for every single thing that you make after, like, you become an adult. I mean, that's what I've learned in life, and yeah. So that's the story of how I got a job after 8 months of being jobless. So I hope it has inspired someone out there, and I hope if you're still looking for jobs, I know, like, I can relate to you. Like, like, looking for jobs can be so hectic, and sometimes you try and you just don't come through. This story time is gonna end here. I know it's a long one, but I hope it's worth it. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. If you like me to share more stories, also just let me know. Leave a comment on the comment section. I know the lighting wasn't the best over here because the sun kept on going chinier clouds, and for some reason I could not get clear same lighting throughout, but it is what it is. I've delivered the message, and that is what is important. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. If you like this particular video, thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and you're still watching and you've gotten here, please do so by pressing on this amazing lady popping right here. And until next time, good people, kisses to you.